Today we are joined by Yoni Tserruya, the CEO and co-founder of Lusha, a B2B sales intelligence platform that helps the go-to-market teams connect with their best prospects faster. Welcome on our show.
It's great to have you. Let's dive right in. Take us back to the beginning of Lucia. What was kind of the moment that you realized you wanted to go and build this, and what was the problem you really wanted to fix?
So I think it started pretty naturally at the beginning. At the beginning, we didn't think about sales as a problem that we want to solve. It was 2016, and back then we saw a need that people wanted to connect with other people on the web, need to get access to business contact details and business profiles. So we had a technology that we thought can provide pretty good uh, solution back then, and we just started with it. Back then, it wasn't intended just for sale. Basically we started with recruiters. We thought they are the main persona. Um,
Oh, recruiters. That was recruiters, really?
yeah, uh, they have a pretty similar need if you think about it to reach out to other people. So that was the beginning of our idea. But very quickly we realized that salespeople are registering for the platform and starting to use, and they use more and ask for more. And I think very quickly they have more budget. There are more people in sales. So yeah. So very quickly the focus shifted into sales and go to market, and recruiters are still part of the business, but not as the main vector that we are aiming to.
That makes sense. You essentially need to know functional areas and seniority and how long they've been at a company, and all these things matter if you're selling to someone or trying to recruit someone. So, that's an interesting beginning though. And so now, on your website it says you're built for sales, RevOps, marketing, recruiting. Who's kind of like the hero that you're building for? Is it SDR, AE, RevOps, CMO? What do you see who's interacting with your platform the most?
I think for a lot of years, the sellers themselves found Lucia like one of the best and easiest platform for them, because the platform has very good data and it's very easy to use. So sellers love that. But when we look on the current reality and what's happening to go to market, a lot of the heavy lifting is moving into RevOps and marketing operations, because they are the ones who implement automation and AI and reduce the manual work from the day to day of sellers. And they also need data, even more data, but the way they consume the data is pretty different. They need connectivity, they need signals, they need automation. So I think for us today, the majority of efforts and focus on the product roadmap is to um, meet the needs of RevOps and provide them access to our great data and to serve their needs. So we are in a switch or in transition if you think about it.
It's so interesting that you say that. I was mentioning to you before, we have a B2B offering more focused on the marketer. You could argue maybe you're a little bit more focused on the seller and the outcomes of the platform. But the thing that we recently identified is like, we have to go help operations teams. We have to figure out a way to help them because otherwise the marketing is null and void and they are getting inundated right now. So, it's confirming to hear that you coming more from the sales side, us coming from the marketing side, is like, we need to help this middle team.
Yeah, I think I think eventually the RevOps become the most important persona, that if they are doing good work, if they know how to prioritize the most relevant opportunities at any given moment, then the whole sales organization can deliver much better. So we are basically moving from a world that salespeople did a lot of manual work, and like they sell like third of their day, because two-thirds of their day spent on manual task research and stuff like that. RevOps is here to take all these non-selling activities so that salespeople can just sell all day long with the best opportunities in front of them every given moment. So a lot of the accountability to make this transition is on the RevOps and their abilities to integrate data.
So yeah, I have a follow-up question on this. Do you think this is because go-to-market functions are all about a specialization and RevOps is all about generalization?
I didn't think about it like that. I think it's interesting. I mean, the way I think about it is that, first of all, I'm the one who thinks that sales will always be necessary. You won't replace sellers with AI because at big checks and at high complexity of integration, you want to talk to person. You build trust with humans. But I do think there is a big inefficiency today in sales organizations because of all the manual work I just mentioned before. So AI is, and all this revolution that's happened right now is here to take all this manual work because AI can analyze the data and can stream you the most relevant leads you need to talk to at every given moment. So I think it's become that sellers will do just selling activities and they will do only human interaction activities all day long. And the organization takes all the ownership of telling them who to talk to. So this ownership comes with if today is on the plate of RevOps. Maybe in some point AI will just know better than the RevOps who to recommend to. I think it's part of the evolution of AI.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're still gonna need operations people setting up and gut checking the
Yeah,
AI
yeah,
for a while. But you guys are obviously using AI and you have a AI companion. Do you wanna jump in and show us what that looks like?
would love to. Um, so that's the website of Lusha, and you can see here. Yeah, like our offering is to find you the best leads, give you buying signals, and keep the pipeline flowing. And we're basically, as you mentioned, we're serving few personas: the sellers themselves, the revenue operation persona who are making all the connectivity and automation, marketeers as well who are building outbound and email campaigns, and recruiters, of course, as another persona. So I'll walk you through the product itself. Basically, what we're building today is there are two things when you're getting into the platform. First, the platform, when you're using enough the service, like you have some usage, the platform get to know you. And we start to recommend you here leads. So you can see similar contacts and similar companies to previous um, deals and companies you engage with. You can see companies with buying intent. You can see, for example, companies that are hiring a lot, people in your ICP who change jobs, similar to your CRM contacts and companies. We're just we learn your behavior and learn what works for you, and we start to recommend you. And we believe that the more you use the platform, we see the more you use the platform, the recommendations gets better, and then you just spend more time on searching and finding who you need to talk to next. But when you start, you can just have an AI companion when you can just ask for uh, the leads you're looking for. So first of all, we're starting to search in our database for anything that's matched these criteria. Here are the results that the system found. Find a lot here. Senior project manager. You can see the industry here is building construction. I'm not sure that everything here is the industry you look for, but now you can refine the search if you like. So, for example, uh, I I'm looking only for um, what construction industry.
Yeah, but don't get swayed by the fact that you
Okay,
see tech names on this list because a lot of these tech names they building their own facilities and they have a PM as well for that, right? So
okay,
they're buyers as well. Yeah,
okay,
like
great. So
Amazon will have a people that buys these things. Yeah.
you can play with it and you try to refine your list. You can also upload lists or get it out of your CRM, and then it's way more accurate than just searching. But the point is that, okay, let's assume we got a list, but there are a lot of people here who you want to start with. That's like one of the main challenges today. And And so you can take the list and then you can start add data for it. So for example, you can add data that you're looking for if you want to sort it by specific the size of the company or any other parameter. You can just add it and sort it and play with it. And then you can try to add columns to it that are just custom. So for example, you can send the AI to every website here on the list, and then the AI can uh, get data and extract data from the website and add it to the spreadsheet, and you can start to refine your list and find the best lead for you at the top. That's the point of the product, that you can play with it and you can prioritize it based on your needs.
And if you click into like a contact or a company, does it display more information?
This view is not for viewing. It's just for building the list. You have different views that you can of course get the full details here and additional recommendations from the system. Then you can get like the connect details here, information about the company, and this happens once you build the list. You can see it and get it from here.
Yep, that makes sense. And where does the data come from? I'm assuming some's proprietary, some's coming from the customer's CRM. Do you have
Yes.
any other data partnerships that are helping to pull in the data?
Yes, it's from variety of sources. Comes from data providers, comes from users, comes from systems that the users are providing. I think I think the main technology today and what we are building is we have a huge database, and the main technology is, one, how do we understand what is accurate and what is not? And we have a very good technology here that provide you the most accurate data at every given moment. And the second part is exactly the recommendations. Because if you have access to all the data in the world, and today it's become easier than anything than ever to contact anyone in the world, the challenge is different now. The challenge is, who I need to talk to today. Where are the opportunities that meet my needs or my product? And this is where we invest majority of the time. We are learning your behavior and we provide you relevancy um, without you even asking for it.
Yeah. And does this tool sit, or the recommendations sit inside of the CRMs too? Like, do you have a tab or a widget that salespeople can use it there?
Any person can get to see the recommendations here that we're providing. And then, for example, if you're taking the data, then the system learns, oh, that was good for you. And if this deal has closed one in your CRM, then the system learns from you. And eventually, we just learn more from your behavior, and the lists become more and more accurate as you go. So the more people use the platform, the more sellers from your organization use the platform, the more access you give to CRM, the better the recommendations becomes. And our vision is to take the prospecting out of the day-to-day work. So we believe that AI is here to build a world that's prospecting is just dead because system learns it.
Yeah, and I think people want to buy when they want to buy, not when somebody calls me.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's a very interesting approach that you're taking here, because on the one hand, you try to flip the table here. Essentially, instead of just providing the data, you're learning about these organizations that are actually using the data, um, and specific individuals' behavior, so that they can make a better decisions. How they filter and find the contacts that they want to call, right, or they want to reach out to. So I have a question about those cues, right? Because there could be a good behavior on the seller side, there could be bad behavior, right? That is not leading to the success. So how you determine that in this tool, and how you differ between the kind of these high performers, bad performers, and also how the bad performers learning from good performers.
So the system learns like from your activity. Again, if you are taking the data or if you are ignoring the data, it helps us understand. And we also allow the user to refine and to customize recommendation. So for example, if you are that wasn't a good recommendation for you, you can just write a prompt when you're saying, oh, I need only people from this industry or from this seniority and department, and then the system save that and the feature recommendations will be on according to this guideline. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. It
Yeah.
does. I think there's a lot of tools that are just providing the data, like like Lusha, but the quality is important, and I think I used the tool in the past, by the way, and I was impressed by the quality of data. The
Thank you.
accuracy was much much better than anything
Yeah.
else I was using in the past, and I used quite a bit. It's an important piece, but also I think there's a learning process in data usage which you're trying to capture, but that has layers, right? It's always difficult to identify who is actually a good performer or bad performer, and if you unless you just go deeper into, okay, what is CRM is telling me, have they actually closed that deal? How long it was taking them? What's the value? How are you comparing this at the team level? And you
Yeah.
go even deeper, deeper. That's what the RevOps actually does, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So how do you see that?
Yeah. I agree. I think it's the biggest challenge and biggest opportunity of go to market. This is why we are trying to solve it. And the way we try to build our audience is based on signals in a lot of way. Because I think there is few parts. First, you need to understand the ICP and what's the ideal profile for you. But then, okay, let's assume you have a big audience in your ICP. Most of them are not in market at any given moment. You don't want to talk to them all the year. You want to talk to them at specific points that the probability of interest is higher. So the way we try to predict it or increase the probability is based on signals. If something happened in this company recently, then we're going to put it in the top of the list. And and we believe that, so today, like the most advanced RevOps just try to do it themselves with API and workflow buildings and stuff like that. And we believe that a system that have all the signals internally can predict and connect signals in a much better way. And that's exactly what AI revolution will do to the go-to-market.
Yeah, we're calling it signal-based selling, and I
Yeah.
think you see some companies adopting it, but a lot of companies still need a lot of help to get there, what signals matter to their business and really starting to define that. So that's where those recommendations are great because you're actually saying like, these are the signals to care about, and these are the things that you need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Most of the AI native products, they start with the models, interfaces, because these things is fairly easy to build these days, right? You use Lovable, you use the, Vercel, and in a few minutes you have something that is pretty decent, right? But they rarely building a full systems. There's no like end to end building a front end, back end, and then having a really really good application. And um, so I have a question for you. Like, what are the technical pivots in to data architecture and workflows and orchestration layers like needed to evolve into the scalable SaaS platform, right? So you're starting with something that is very basic. It's almost it barely works, and then okay, now I'm just bringing more users. Now I have to pivot into something that is more serious and build a SaaS platform. So what do you see in those areas to drive that change?
First of all, I think you're right. We see today a lot of services that provide pretty nice solutions that are based on the models. And it's pretty easy to do them, as you mentioned. I think that if you think about go to market in AI, there are two areas. LLMs and the faster open AI will run, the more LLMs will be able to do for go to market, and the go to market and LLMs will replace manual work of salespeople. Like LLM can write emails, can create conversation. LLM designed to learn human language. So LLM can do a lot of the human interaction, simple human interactions. There are other types of AI, like machine learnings, that intend to predict the future, to predict if a lead will be closed or won or closed lost. That's what we are working on. We are working more on machine learning than LLMs. Um, and so I think each one of them has its own progress based on the models or based on the technology. But eventually, if you're using LLM or you're doing stuff simple on LLM, I don't think it's defensible, and I don't think it's necessarily scalable, because it's not defensible because anyone can do it pretty simple, pretty quickly. And I think the companies that are able to make it more defensible, you mentioned Lovable or Cursor or companies like that, are not just doing it with the model; they are building an environment that's are perfect for you in addition to the model. So, for example, Cursor built an environment for developers. It's there is a lot of work there, and Lovable are building a platform that is intended for design. So I think you still need to build a lot around that, and when you need to scale, it's harder to scale. It's not just happen with a prompt. You need to design it. You need to architecture it. It still requires people.
Yeah, no, to double click into that a little bit more. Yeah, I think predictive AI has been around for a long time. We just all called it
Yeah.
machine learning. And to have any good SaaS offering, I think you have to have some machine learning happening to help your customers. The way I think about it is like, how are customers in the future going to interact with products? Is it going to be within a UI in a very SaaS-based model, or is it going to be in like an AI native format? And it extends to integrations as well. Um, and so I think you have SaaS platforms that are now going and figuring out, okay, here are all the tools and features we provide to our customers. How do we make them available in AI? But you also have companies that are getting built right now that maybe are going to say, screw a UI, let's just build an AI native interface or have that be a lot of our features. I'm curious to get kind of your general thoughts on that, but also does that yeah, I think one of the biggest constraints of SaaS platforms when they're thinking about their ICP in a UI is, who are we building this for? Are we building it for someone who's like an entry level user that needs a lot of support? Or are we building it in like simplified? Or are we building for an enterprise user that needs a lot of customization? And I'm also curious around like, does an AI native interface actually not like, allows you to serve more customers based on whatever their needs are?
My point of view is that the level of UI we will use will just go and decrease over the years to a point that eventually you can ask anything from the computer with a prompt, and the AI will give it to you or generate it to you on the spot. It can generate UI for you on the spot. If you want to see it like that, the AI will generate the UI for you on the spot. And the other part will be that AI will push you information of anything that it thinks that is relevant for you. So like, it's going to be read in and read out. And if you want to read it in this UI, it will do it with this UI. And I think the UI is going to be on demand, if you like. Now, I think this is maybe a B2C approach, what I'm saying. In the more B2B and enterprise you become, then I think you will need more access to configuration flexibility and a bit more visualizations, but still way less than we see today. I think it's just going to shrink.
I wanna, double click again, triple click into this. With the rise of, like, MCPs and OpenAI's App SDK and these other things, more on the SMB or, B2C side, do you think that users will even log into the tools? Or do you think that they will mainly interact with their platforms through tools in other, like, LLM interfaces like Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT?
I think AI will do a lot of the things behind the scene for you without you even logging in. You might don't even know which service the AI picked. Um, but again, I think in your business, when you will need more control, you will have direct access to the services, and you will want there because you want control. I think I think the more consumer the task will be, then you won't know, but the more it's relate to the infrastructure of your business, you will have access to it. But it's a transition.
It is. I made a statement, I'm like, especially for SMB customers, I'm like, I don't even want them logging into the platform. Like that, not that I do, but that should be the goal, right? They can do almost anything within the LLM that they can do in our platform. But it's almost like it's becoming the new marketplace. Like in the past, you wanted to be in the HubSpot or Salesforce or Shopify marketplace for your product to get discovered. Now it's like, how do I show up in the AI? Like that has to be the number one thing. And that the AI platforms are not there yet to really provide that, but I think that's a world we're going in SMB and lower mid-market space, which is very interesting.
I call it, I think, if I think about it like as they're in phases, we used to be in a sales-led world and then it's become product-led, that human login and the product needs to lead. If I condense the discussion we have, like the next evolution might be like agent-led growth. Like the agent will choose where to go, not a human will choose. It will do it self-serve. It will even pay for the service without you even know. It's like everything can happen, but the agent made the choice.
Yep.
And that can be what we're seeing today. And NCP really drives us fast.
Yeah. What the humans aren't ready to get like lose all control yet, but we're definitely shifting in that direction. You mentioned this before, like around sales and I think you nailed it. Like it's going to make them more productive. But as machine learning becomes more, capable of predicting needs and surfacing options and whatnot, how do you see AI reshaping the buyer's autonomy? You're saying like, oh, the agent will eventually just do everything. What do you think's happening today and will happen in next year, from a buyer perspective?
I think it's similar. Like today, the seller wants to know who is the best opportunity for him at a given moment. I think the buyer can have the same need. Think about it like if if the AI knows me and knows all my stock and everything I'm working all day long, I can ask the AI what's the best service should be in this industry for me. And I think AI can recommend like, okay, you are SMB, you better go to this service and it's integrating great with that service that you already have. I think AI can reduce the search time, which already happened with ChatGPT, and but the more it will know my preference and how do I work. I think it can also recommend what to buy.
Yeah, we've been calling it research-led growth, as the phase we're in right now, where buyers are really, taking some control back that they haven't had in the past.
Yeah, I think it's a new term that we coined, and I think we try to popularize a little bit more, but it goes exactly to what you just said. It's a buyer's time to really know what they want to buy, and that is connecting very well to the signaling that we discussed earlier as well. Um, so that model where people spending more time researching and actually personalizing the search
Yeah.
is becoming the key element of buying, and that might take months, even years.
Yeah.
But when that is fully baked by the user or or the buyer specifically, I think that one last mile delivery model, where the seller is involved, is I think is more productive. Is making this sales process more productive. It's a fundamental shift that will need to happen, especially if you consider the volume of different tools that are being added to the market,
Yeah.
right? So uh, I think we were digging together with Lizzie into this on different occasions, and we were looking at the growth year over year, how many new tools were added. Just get this, 24. I think the in Martech only, we added globally more than 3,000 new tools, and 80% of them were AI native. I mean, of course, people claiming a lot of AI native these days, but
Yeah.
if that's new, it's probably going to have some form of AI. So yeah, well, that's where we're going, and I think it's just fitting exactly what you're saying about the market that is shifting into the new era of signaling that is directly coming from the research that the individuals perform. Um, yeah, we want to dig into more of the buying cycles and specifically the RevOps and go-to-market engineer, right? So that's the kind of new term that is on the market. I don't know what is your
Yeah.
take on this, because I'm I'm not skeptical, but I think it's just to me more of the relabeling than really a new thing.
Yeah. It's a new name for RevOps, I feel like. But I mean, I think it's real, but I think it's just the first step. If you think, let me do the analogy for self-driving cars. Before you have, there is the road for full autonomy driving, right? Like level 5. It takes time. People always thought it's next year, next year, next year. It took more time than people think. But there is stage 0 where human does everything, and then you have semi-automation and features and safety features up to the point you will have full autonomous. I think if you are now bringing it back to the go-to-market, you're gonna have the same journey from a world that everything happened manually with humans to, okay, let's do the first email reach out campaigns in email sequencing, and then we will add signals and prioritize it for, like, there going to be a journey up to a point that I think that the end game will be that the seller will open the computer and it's just going to see the tasks like you are scrolling into Instagram. It's going to be sorted, personalized for you. Every time you will open it, the first task will be the most relevant and up to date that you need to focus on, and it's just going to be sorted for you, and AI will do everything for you. So it's going to be like fully autonomous of what you need to do, and human will do the interactions. Maybe some of the interactions might also be without humans, but you get to the point. Like, so if you think about go-to-market engineer, basically the human here builds all the workflows and all the definitions, and I think it's stage 1, maybe it's stage 2. It's not the real AI transformation. The real AI transformation will be much but will be much smarter than RevOps, because it will be able to digest tons of data and understand the real prioritization at every given moment. So I think it's just the first step towards the vision of what will happen in go-to-market.
I agree. Everyone's titles now. I like go and try to find a partnerships person, and everyone's titles is GTM. I'm like, what is this? Especially at the AI companies. I'm like, what part of GTM? What
Yeah.
give me a little more insight about that. That's a pretty big team and part of the business. So I think one of the other things that I'm always interested in from a partnerships perspective is the actual integration. So we talked a little bit about the data that underpins your platform. But really I think we are moving towards this ecosystem strategy. And the more connections you have, the better. AI will make it easier to build those connections, but we're not quite there yet. So how are you deciding right now on platforms that you want to build really deep integrations with, and how is that shaping the stack that you have?
So that's a great question. First of all, we look at it in a few buckets. The main important layer, we're investing a lot in API, and all the data points that we're providing, all the signals, everything is available through API, and all the connectors, the platforms like NA10, Make, and Zapier and stuff like that. So as a RevOps, each RevOps has its own workflow platform. It can connect the signals and bring it everything to their platform. That's for the RevOps who love to build it themselves. They can have the full control, get the signal pushed to them whenever it happens. I think that's the first layer. The second layer are, we call it the data layers, the ones that store your data, like CRMs, like data centers, like Snowflake, stuff like that. A lot of the data is stored there. So we're building integrations for all the CRMs so that it's going to be easy to connect and enrich your data. And the third layer is a more specific solutions, for example, outreach solutions or conversation intelligence solutions, stuff like that. So it's basically like a pyramid where we invest. We mainly invest in the bottom layers because that's what every RevOps can connect to and do it themselves with MCP, with simple connectivity. And the more resources we'll have, we'll build everything on top of it. But it's, of course, it's limited by, as you mentioned, so many services out there. We believe that the future will be seamless connectivity with MCP and connectors. So that's what we see today as the future.
That's what a partnerships person wants to hear. Integrations
Yeah.
are no longer hard. You just build the use cases. So, yeah, it's been interesting. Like, I've worked in partnerships for many years and I'm always it's like, how do we get these integrations built? Because you like to build every integration. And this is a real paradigm shift for that role too of integrations because it should get a lot easier. And we were like just scratching the surface on how much easier it can get.
Yeah, I would call it integration on demand is coming.
That's nice. Yeah. I mean, what I see a lot of companies that are just API companies. And I think it's emphasized exactly that. If everything is going to be connected, all I need is to provide a good API and the services will use it.
Yeah, and if I do need to go direct to a customer, an LLM on top of it that can interact with all of this. But yeah, I mean, Zapier is like a really good NAN and those companies, like they're just like, let's
Yeah.
just help connect these things. And they've evolved really well in the AI world. Circling back to like the data side and the data ecosystem, the devil's always in the data hygiene of how good signals can be. And so how much accurate prospect data is even out there, and how are you working with go-to-market teams to help solve, like, what data is good and what data isn't?
So yeah, accuracy is always the key. One of the main important thing we integrated in the platform that Lusha is a very easy to use platform as I mentioned at the beginning. So we have a lot of users and we'll let the users vote whether the data is good or not. So
Oh,
it
I
really help
love
us,
that.
yeah, it really help us understand if it's accurate or not. And if it's not, then it decrease the score. So um, users really helps here and volume of data. I think in the data size matters, and the more you have, the better accuracy you get. So it's like a combination of both.
No, I really like putting it in the user's hands. Zoom Info should do this. They should let their users vote on what data
Yeah.
is good and what's not. Not they're a great data resource to have. I mean, all of them struggle with it, but I really like the idea of like, okay, this was good, solid intel versus this was bullshit. This person left this
Yes.
company a year and a half ago. And that's really how you start to refine that and then just throw it into the models.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I have a very quick question on scaling model. Because I was listening to you and I realized that that is the space where I feel like a lot of investors will struggle with as well. Um, y- I'm pretty sure they're getting pitched by a lot of people right now, and with this AI hype like product, um, the I think the investors know very well how to scale the SaaS business, right?
Yeah.
But you for this, you do that, there's a phase and all of that. And I think all of these even funding rounds are aligned to that. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
Um, the AI native companies, they behave very differently. They're usually small, nimble, and keeping aside those successes like Coursera, which is really super high growth very quickly. A lot of them might not really experience that, but they're going to be small, they're going to be nimble. So how do you see this scaling process for them to change comparing to SaaS?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think the playbook is rewritten now, because in SaaS you should have a product and then a product market fit, and then you invested a lot in sales and marketing. So really funding was necessary to scale a business, especially in the sales led era. PLG changed it a bit, but not really. Um, I think what we're seeing today is that you really need a good product market fit. You don't need necessarily a lot of resources to get there, and then to scale it, it's really more like more a marketing presence, or brand. It's not necessarily based on. I mean, what I'm saying is that I don't think funds necessarily can scale your business. You need to have a really good product, and find a way to do marketing one to many, but it's not necessarily paid or budget oriented. You need to get good with your approach, with educating the market, with the brand. Yeah, I think brand can be remote today because it's hard to go to market. So if you know how to tell your story, if you're above the noise, then you can have a advantage. Also, I think the level of technology went up. In the past, you could have had a product which is it's not really high tech. It can be a marketplace. It can be like website builder, something pretty simple. But if you do sales and marketing a lot, you can grow. I think today the level of technology is way higher. You need to have really techy product, really smart or infrastructure that will have a moat. Otherwise, it's very easy to copy that in a few months. So moats are you have less moats or potential moats, and I think you need to be really really good product. I think it changes.
Yeah, I think a lot of SaaS products were feature based. Like they help you
Yeah.
solve this thing that was annoying to do. When we talk about interconnectivity of platforms and like those things get easier to do. I mean, AI makes those things easier. And so it's not feature based platforms are not going to exist. They're going to have to like really solve a problem. I want to ask a totally like out of left field question for you. You work with marketers or support marketers with what you're doing. It's very demand gen focused, and we just touched on brand. How do you think B2B companies need to be thinking about their brand moving forward?
I think it's more become about telling an interesting story. Like everyone tells the same story, and it's no longer that I am not get to know companies because I saw an ad and landing page. I get to know companies because they have an interesting story, and I saw some post and it's really got to my feed, or got shared, like someone shared it with me. So I think you need to have good story, good approach, break the noise, and become different in how you tell it, and you need to be persistent with it. So I think the ones that will have very interesting point of view and storytelling can and of
Break through
course
the
again,
noise.
yeah, break through the noise and good product. I think really you have to be very good product today, more than anything, because when in the past you didn't know if a product is good. Now everything is out there. You have review forums. You can ask the GPT. You can ask. You know if the service is good before you even logged in. So you really have to be good, and you need to be good. And if it's good, people will copy you. So you need to be good, and you need to build something that is not copyable. It's really harder, and speed is key today.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I actually have a follow-up question on this. So what would you characterize something that is hard to copy? I mean, because it's a hard thing to do, very hard thing to do these days.
Yeah.
It's much harder than in the past.
Yeah. In our case, we are. That's why we are investing a lot in the data. We like you can build a lot of stuff for sales, features, engage features. That we are focused on data because we believe features will is become more and more red ocean and commoditized. Um, that's in our case. But as mentioned, I think You need to have a very unique brand or storytelling. You need to have data or algorithm, how you analyze the data. You need to be very good, even if it's only LLM prompts. The way you train the agent or the way you are able to um, provide the answer needs to be sophisticated, not something that it easily copied. So you need to have you need to have some secret sauce inside. If you don't, then it's going to be temporary success. It's going to be hard to 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 succeed for a long time. You need to, in the world that everything is open and everything is global, you need to be the best at something. And being the best at something means that you understand the best how to do it. Seems to be something there needs to be complicated inside that only you know. Otherwise, others will know.
So you would probably agree with this statement. And anything that I can actually visually assess by myself is probably easy to replicate. But if there are layers of complexity behind before that visual occurs, that's where the company should focus because that's becoming a proprietary like a asset, right? Like you're not giving this away to anyone, and only you understand, if this then that, right? And then there's a multiplication of all these conditions that are behind.
Yes.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, with all these tools that are available right now, I see similar way that the data is becoming the gold, the new gold, right? And it's it's not only a layer. It's not only a question whether you have a data. It's really how you crank it the way that it's just giving you what you want, right? Or is giving you an ability to provide something for your users. So to your earlier point about them choosing if something is working or not, they they choosing use your system because there's something unique, something that
Yeah.
they can't get anywhere else,
Yeah.
right? And that could be anything. That could be experience. That could be, the data itself. But I think it's even the data quality is creating an experience, right? Because people want to have
Yes.
something that is optimizing their time when they do it. It's at the end, it's a work. People working. It's not like they travel for leisure, right? When they can spend
Yeah.
all the time they want over there on the beach and go to the mountains or doing ski, right, in Vermont. But you definitely, definitely, when you are at work, you want to be efficient.
Yeah.
So if the data is allowing you to be the more efficient, they will choose you instead of somebody else. So I think it's a very good point on your end as well, like
Yeah.
distinguishing where you can visually see something, and also the data that behind is making this more unique.
Yeah.
If the data is good, I can ski more. That's what we're getting to. That's the end goal.
That's a good story to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, the product has to be good, the data has to be good. LLMs are scraping from Reddit, and that's not a bad data source, but, like, the data that's powering an LLM, the better it is, the better, insights you're gonna get there.
There's a lot of good data on Reddit.
Oh, I
There's a
agree.
ton of data. It's just really how you just compile that and use it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's certain patterns you can see over there, but if people don't know how to identify the patterns, I mean, it's going to be hard to make it useful.
Yeah, machine learning is good at that, and LLMs are not good at that yet. We'll see, but, like, I think machine learning is there for a reason, right? It's very good at taking in data and predicting. We've talked a lot about, like, I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of, like, zoom out and, look at sales intelligence in general and where you think it's heading over the next 2 to 3 years, but I think one of the things that I think a lot about is we're helping salespeople determine who they should talk to, who is the right person, who is the right company based on the signals. Do you think we're gonna get to a place where we tell them what to talk about in a really accurate way?
Definitely. Um, I think the signals can really indicate what to say, like what's the reason you are calling at least at the beginning of the conversation. Can really help to open the conversation. But then you are just saying, the pitch of the product that is fit for them. So I really think that I think if you understand the reason you connect, if there is some signal, if you saw the tech stack, if you know the reason you're connecting, and yeah, the opening and the discovery can be shorter. Think about discovery call of salesperson. Why do we do that? You ask like 10 questions to understand where to aim your solution. But if you have more signals before you even call, then maybe you need just 3 questions. Maybe you don't need any question. And the future will get to that point that discovery stage is less necessary or shorter than today.
Yeah, it's more of like confirmation. Like, "Hey, here's what I'm seeing. Like, is that correct?"
Yes.
There's nothing I hate. A lot of vendors pitch me, and when I get on a call and I don't learn anything about the product and I've just given them my information, I'm like, "What a waste of time." I'm already in a bad mood. I don't want to buy the product because I just gave you all the information you could have found out yourself. So I think that's a really accurate way to
That's
say
rude.
how it will
That's
help.
rude.
Me?
And it's also bragging about like, okay, they're all calling me all day. Like they want me to
Oh, we
buy.
all have a million people in our inbox getting pitched with different things. That is
Oh,
the downside of AI. It's a lot easier to reach out to people.
well, that's the downside of being a buyer. I think that's what it is. So I have a one question for you regarding that. Actually, I've been thinking lately about like how the sales enablement will change across the board because of all these changes we're discussing and the trends. Do you think that organizations in general are leaning towards and should be leaning towards educating their employees how to use and read the data?
Like you talk about sales enablement part, this part. Yeah, I
I'm
think,
talking in general. I'm talking in general. I think it's anyone who is doing any job in an organization
okay.
should be taught how to consume the data, how to read the data, how to read the signals. And it's not only about sales because we think about this in a very salesy way, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's often okay. Some I'm not picking on anyone. There's a lot of smart people in every function. But if there's somebody in HR, it's assumed that that person is not analytical. Well, that might completely be not true, right? Because you know did we just define the job that is not making this more analytical, but that person could be analytical, right? Maybe not like a data scientist, but somewhat more analytical than they are today,
Yeah.
right? I mean, finance is obviously a lot about analytics,
Yeah.
but probably majority of the job is data cleaning, tables, reference tables, VLOOKUPs, and everything. Speaking through my experiences, and then there's some analytical piece. Then there's of course RevOps, there's sales, etc. But marketing as well, right? It's not assumed to be analytical function by default, but they probably should.
AI is gonna solve this.
Interesting question. I mean, I had some thought around what AI can do internally in organization. I think eventually you will have a service that will know how to read the internal information. Internal information can be all your docs, can be even chats, Slack, can be emails, can be maybe Zoom recordings and transcripts of conversations. And you can think of more maybe, but the results can be a lot of values. It can understand, can have the global organization information, and every new employee can just consult with it and learn very fast. It can have perception on people and help understand like what capabilities each one have. So I think there are a lot of questions about privacy and what exactly can such a service can do and or act on, but I believe that there will be services that will read information and will help you take decisions internally for sure. Maybe will help HR understand who need to promote, who should be promoted. I think we will get there.
Yeah, I agree. As you're just talking about that, I'm like, "Ooh, this could, like, lead to some unbiased review data," right? Like, and other things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. You're gonna need some people who are analytical, but I think also AI is gonna cover that gap for a lot of people who maybe aren't analytical.
I think it depends. I think it really depends who's going to make a decision, because if the decision is a human, You will have some analytics involved here.
Oh, there has to be some analytical people. I don't think
Right.
that job function's gone in a company because they're gonna be driving what data goes into any model.
Well, if there's less people, there will be less people making decisions. But okay, I get less people in an organization. That's what I mean. Less people globally, but it's like it definitely is something to think about because if they need to make more decisions and they're shifting more of the time to make those decisions, yeah, I mean they'll be based on something, and there is another output that they need to spend more time familiarizing themselves with and make a call. So it's like the same way I see the salesperson, to our earlier point about the signaling, they have to understand these signals. They have to understand, what's the way between the different signals and what to do. It's, if you give them an indexed scoring, that's BS. That's BS
I disagree.
because, oh, well, it simplifies the work at glance, but it's not really telling them accurately whether somebody's ready or not. I mean, it's giving them direction, but it's not letting them know it is ready to pick up the phone and have the conversation.
Yeah. Yanni, you're
Just
getting
because
in.
somebody's browsing on the website is not really like really strong signal.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's a signal.
that's what Lusha comes in and does. It tells you if the
Yeah,
signal's a strong signal or not.
I think it will be eventually a combination of signals, not just one.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
you can have multiple signals, and if you have few, then it make the relevancy stronger and just higher prioritization. So eventually, if you
Yes,
think about it, there are tons of signals on the web, and it just only machine can analyze the amount of signals out there. So AI will do it. We will do it.
Yanni, you just got some insight into what a typical conversation between me and Demetris is.
Yeah, I see you love it. I can
We
understand
like
how.
a good debate.
Yeah,
there's definitely some tension you can sense here,
yeah.
right? Like without machine learning.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap things up with a couple of rapid fire questions. What are one or two companies in the go-to-market space outside of Lucia that you're really excited about and think are doing cool things?
Um, I mentioned too, I think I really appreciate from the big companies, I really appreciate HubSpot. I always saw them as company I love. They're anything they do and they pretty move fast for their size. So I appreciate them. And I think some company that is closer to our industry is Clay, of course. They're doing pretty good work and they got into a very good solution. And I think both of them in different ways are doing interesting stuff.
Yeah, to go back what we were talking about before, I think they both nail brand really well. I think
Yes.
HubSpot's always done that through education, and Clay is doing it through interesting storytelling. When I was out at Dreamforce, billboards everywhere, talking about like the architectural go-to-market architect. So they were coming up with that term.
They own the go-to-market engineer
Yeah,
space,
They
right?
of
Like
do.
course.
they that's why they build this. That's why I was really skeptical about this spectacle about the um
The term.
go-to-market engineer because that function essentially existed before. Now it's just carved out and like has a tool that they own. There
Listen,
you go.
RevOps just need a glow up, and it's happening
Oh,
for you guys. And then last but not least, do you have a top 3 tips for sales leaders or sellers?
Keep your RevOps close to you and spend the most amount of time you can with RevOps because they are the really ones that gonna push your quota up. Thing second is work with signals, work with relevancy. It's like the more relevant your people are gonna focus on relevancy, the better the outcomes will be. And the third is that I think more leaders, especially in sales, needs to be more hands-on and don't afraid to integrate stuff themselves, try stuff themselves, because there are things that are much that's so easy to do and build it yourself, and only when you play it with your hands you understand, and then you can lead other people to do the same. So I really encourage people at this period of revolution to be hands-on and feel the technology, not just managing the people. I think.
I love it. Those are great tips. Well, Yanni, thank you so much for joining us and
Thank you
digging
very
into
much.
Lucia. And to everyone listening and watching, thank you. And go follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn to see more from go-to-market leaders.
Thank you very much. It
Thanks,
was a
Yoni.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.